So welcome everybody. Thank you so much for taking time out of your evenings to join us and learn more about what the Carsey School has to offer. Tonight we are sharing more information about our community development policy and practice Master of the Arts. So tonight we are going to be covering a number of different areas. So we are going to introduce who we have here today and what our roles are. We're going to be sharing program information, and we have our amazing program director here with us tonight. So definitely be thinking about what your questions are for the Q&A later. We have an amazing guest speaker who's going to share out their experience while they were in the program and share some more about what they are currently doing. And then I'm going to be sharing out just more broad general information about the University of New Hampshire and why we think it is a good fit for you all. We will touch upon tuition and financial aid. And then we will cover the application and how you can submit your application to the program. And as I mentioned already, we will open up the floor for questions and answers. So this is who we have here today among some other amazing folks, but just to introduce the people on this screen. So my name is Cheyenne Acevedo. I am the Assistant Director of Online Student Success. The way I like to explain our team with UNH Online is we're really serving as the liaisons between the graduate school, so the folks that are processing your application, and the program itself. I have the amazing pleasure of working with Callie Iorardi and Daniel Beatty, who are online student success coaches. So if you've already inquired about the program, you may have already heard from, maybe many of us or maybe just one of us, but hopefully we are familiar names to you in this process already. And like I mentioned earlier, we are joined tonight by Jolan Rivera, our program director for the MCD program. And then we are also joined by Robin, who is an amazing resource to you as a you're almost there. So all you got to do is apply and be in the program. So Robin is an amazing support throughout your time as an initial inquiry, but then also while you are in the program as well. And with that, I will let Jolan take the floor.
Thank you so much, Shayana. Again, my name is Jolan Rivera, and welcome, folks, to our info session on the Masters in Community Development Policy and Practice. So you might be asking, why be interested in community development? Why be interested in a Masters in Community Development? Well, it might not be in the news all the time, but there has been a lot of positive changes happening in communities. For example, indigenous communities reclaiming their ancestral lands and asserting their customs, low-income families coming together to own homes in a cooperative manner, or minority-owned businesses forming networks to support each other's enterprises, perhaps urban youth working together to have their voices heard in decisions that directly affect their lives, and many more. A lot of examples. We might not see them in our 6 o'clock evening news or in the headlines of newspapers that we read, but they are indeed happening. And in these cases, in a lot of these cases, communities are doing this on their own. They are doing this, spearheading changes that directly affect them. But they're not doing it individually, though, not individual families, but as a community, because they would like to take advantage of strength in numbers, belief in synergy, where 1 + 1 is 3 instead of 2, and the ability to lobby and advocate if you are with a group. But it doesn't mean, though, that they only do it among themselves. In certain instances, they work with the market system. Sometimes they work against the market system, depending on the issue that they are trying to address. In certain instances, they even work with governments, local or state or even federal governments, to be able to address these issues. And last but not least, they also work with organizations, nonprofits, non-government organizations, or others associations, civil society associations, to create change in their communities. So are you part of a community that would like to create change? If you're not part of that community, are you part of, let's say, a government agency that would like to partner with these communities? Are you a member of a nonprofit that would like to make a change? Are you an individual who would like to actually be part of this development process? And if the answer is yes, then welcome to the MCD program. Next slide, please. So welcome to the MCD program. So it is a program that provides students or folks who are interested to partner with communities or are in communities that would like to create change by providing them with understanding or knowledge in both the history, foundations, and philosophy of community development. What is the history of this movement? What are the principles embodied by this movement? What's the framework by which community development is being undertaken? But knowing things is not enough, isn't it? You need to do things. So how do we do things? So part of the MCD program is to provide skills in how to effectively and efficiently facilitate change in communities. Knowing that, we do not spearhead the process, the communities themselves have to spearhead the change. Otherwise, it's not going to be sustainable. Next slide, please. So what does this program look like? To be able to gain the knowledge and skills that are needed to be effective and efficient partners with our communities. There are 12 courses, which totals to 36 credits that students are going to take, and I'm going to describe most of them in the next slide. It takes the fastest route is around 14 to 16 months, but students can also have the option of doing it in a less rigorous way, maybe like 24 months. But a typical journey when you take a couple of courses per semester would be around 14 to 16 months. Part of these 12 courses would be to take 4 courses that are part of the Capstone Project series, where students are able to gain knowledge and skills in developing a project idea, translating it into a project design, however, backing it up with knowledge based on research. Is this really a project that is worth addressing? What is the problem we're trying to address, etc.? But it doesn't just stay with a plan, with the design. It needs to be planned out. It needs to be implemented and monitored. So there are 4 courses here that would cover the capstone project. And we can talk a lot about this more once you have applied. And please give us a call and we can elaborate on this. End of the day, the way by which we deliver the program is online and a combination of asynchronous and synchronous sessions. What does it mean? First, it's online. You don't show up at UNH, campus. You show up in UNH online. Okay, there is a specific platform that we use. It's called Canvas or My Courses. That's where all of the engagement happens. Submission of assignments, conduct of asynchronous discussion forums, etc. There's also a set of synchronous sessions. For example, in the classes that I teach, every Wednesday we show up in class all at the same time virtually. At a certain period where we talk, we discuss, and we share and learn with each other. So it's a combination of both asynchronous and synchronous sessions. A lot of this, though, is asynchronous. For example, a lot of the learning is based on recorded lectures, readings that you need to view ahead of time, assignments that are being done on your own, but then submitted at a specific time. That said, there's still that direct interactive element of things other than just emailing each other or participating in asynchronous discussion forums. There are actually live, real-time classes. The only difference is that they are not in person and they are not as frequent as it is in more traditional classroom-based courses. So next slide, please. So just to give you an idea, for example, of the curriculum, as you could see, the 12 courses that you take, if you look at the first column, it is distributed as follows. There are 5 core courses that you need to take, 4 capstone courses, and 3 elective courses. So the 5 core courses are the substantive courses that you take. In other words, topics, areas, principles, etc., that you need to know to be an effective community development partner or practitioner. This goes from the history and the foundations of community development, the role of economic analysis in community development, what is fiscal management and community development? Is there a role for organizational management when it comes to community development? How about policy? So comprise your 5 core courses. And then you have your 4 capstone courses. So these are the courses that you take to be able to gain knowledge and skills and immediately display them through 4 capstone courses. And then you take 3 elective courses. It could be, depending on what we can offer within an academic year, it could be on housing, it could be on it could be on finance, it could be on community safety, etc. But end of the day, these are courses that you take, 12 all in all. You can take them in various terms throughout the academic year. The way the online program works is that within the fall term, there are 2 terms, term 1 and term 2. Each term has 8 sessions, and then we have the spring term after a break during the holidays, if you celebrate holidays, of course. If not, then it's just your winter break. And then we come for our spring term, comprised of term 1 and, terms 3 and terms 4. And then there's a summer term, then eventually come back for your second fall term to be able to finish off. If you plan to take the program on what we refer to as like full-time basis, which is, as you could see here, taking 2 courses every 8-week semester, except for the summer where you can only just take 1. And next slide, please. And why so? Why do you need to take all of these courses? Well, you need to be a master in community development for you to be able to really be efficient and effective and an equitable partner in the change process. You could be a community development director, a nonprofit manager, or maybe even in the international field, do development work in the international field, or maybe do work in the economic realm as economic development director, or being business development officers, policy analysts, etc. We have graduates who are senior management in a number of organizations that serve different purposes, but all of them towards community development, as you could see here in the screen. Folks that work locally and for folks that work overseas. So next slides, please. But I can talk all I want, isn't it? But it makes more sense if we actually invite someone who actually went through the program and would be able to talk about different elements of the program that the person have gone through. And we have invited for tonight Yyokkia Lawson. She graduated from our program in 2022. She's the founder of the Institute for Housing, Health, and Economic Development. It is an organization that is dedicated to the betterment of rural home buyers to community-based financing. We will let Yyokkia introduce herself in a more detailed way, but it is important to note that Yyokkia is actually the recipient of the University of New Hampshire's Sustainability Award in 2021, among other great things that Yyokkia has achieved. She was our student in our capstone courses, and without further ado, I would like to welcome her and let her introduce herself in more detail other than what I've said here. So again, Yyokkia, welcome, and thank you so much for being part of tonight's event. And let's start perhaps by you introducing yourself in a more detailed way.
Well, as Jolan said, my name is Yyokkia Lawson. I'm so happy to be here this evening. I head up an organization called IHHED, the Institute for Housing, Health, and Economic Development, and our focus is really rural development, and it is about really connecting people to resources, whether that's financing, whether that's education, in terms of helping people reach their goals. So we do housing counseling, we offer housing courses, business courses. So creating homeowners and creating business owners, and that really is our focus. And in terms of my day-to-day, I do a lot with the organization, really trying to get it off the ground. I kind of was just founding it when I was starting the program. And so really now I really am focused on really getting it off the ground and going. In terms of my day job, I do still have a day job. I am a loan specialist with the SBA. And a lot of times in the evenings and weekends, I'm still getting calls from people to help out in rural areas and to do a lot of things like that.
Thanks, Yyokkia. So where are you specifically based locationally? Like what?
Oh, I'm sorry. We are in Georgia. I live really outside of Athens, Georgia. But a lot of our work is done in Northeast Georgia, in Elberton, Hull, Elbert County, Madison County, really all the counties, several counties in Northeast Georgia is where we do our work.
And that's Yyokkia. And yeah, Yyokkia is in Georgia. We have students that are from Kansas. We have students that are in California currently, even students that are overseas. It's really important for us to underscore that one advantage of this program is that it is really democratizing learning, isn't it? It gives opportunities even for those who are not local, who are not in New Hampshire or Massachusetts or New England. Exhibit number one for Yyokkia, she is from Georgia and where I was able to participate in the program. So I hope you don't mind, Yyokkia, if you don't mind just providing us with a little bit of information on what drew you to the MCD program, what made you decide to join the program.
I think it was really the structure of the program that I really liked, just in terms of it was a reputable program. I really liked the structure. I was one of those people, I'm a working professional, and I had nightmares about having to ride around a campus at night looking for a parking spot. And so the online nature of it really appealed to me, but I also liked the timing of it, that it wasn't going to take 3 or 4 years of my life. And I really like the structure of it. I like the way the courses were ordered and structured. And I like that it was a program. What really caught my interest was that it was a program for practitioners. And I love the way it layered practice with policy. And, when I first knew I wanted to go to grad school, I wasn't quite sure what the major should be. Because it wasn't, I knew I really didn't want to necessarily do public policy itself, even though UNH has a great public policy program. But what is it that I want to do? It's not really public policy, and it's not all the way real estate development or economic development. It was really a combination of those things. And so when I found out that UNH had that, the community development policy and practice, it just, as soon as I heard that, it just, something clicked in my head. And then when I read about the program, I was like, oh, this is it. This is what I want to do, because I knew it was community development, but I didn't really know nothing else. None of the other programs that I had looked into really hit the nail on the head like that. So that's really what drew me in.
Thanks so much, Yyokkia. And then thanks for underscoring the fact that we actually have a program that is very accessible. We structure the program, we deliver the program in such a way that it caters to, as you said, working professionals. And another thing that you said is that you know who your classmates are. So we don't have like only folks in housing or only folks in micro enterprise. It's actually a combination of different folks, because it's important, at least for the program, for us to underscore how we learn from each other.
Right. And that was really a helpful component. A lot of times I think people don't realize, particularly who are in community development, sometimes the solution to your problem, you can't find where you are. Sometimes the solution is in Boise, Idaho. Sometimes it's in Toronto. Sometimes, it's in this little town in Oklahoma. And so when you're talking and you're able to express ideas with other professionals, it's just wonderful things start to happen. And, I've had classmates from all over the United States, and they're just honestly wonderful people. And it's nice to interact with them and talk with them. And one of the things I really loved about the program is even though it was online, it didn't feel like online. I really felt like I was in a classroom sitting next to people because of the way, even with the way, technology was handled, and we would do breakout sessions and we would have group projects and we do different things. So I was in an online program, but not at all did I ever feel like it was an online program. And that really impressed me.
Thanks so much, Yyokkia, again. You are doing a better job describing the program than me, because exactly that is what we want to say, that uh, the program sits in the intersection of theory, practice, and policy. As Yyokkia said, perhaps your concern is more policy related, but wait, it cannot just be approached from a policy perspective. There is a practice element to things. There's a foundational element to things. So we try our best with the courses that we offer to be able to see how all of these aspects of development work can speak to each other. And I'm sure Yyokkia is doing a better job than me because she actually went through the program. So thanks again for that, Yyokkia. Maybe if you don't mind, Yyokkia, talking just a little bit about your capstone experience.
So my capstone experience, I actually had a great experience. My capstone project was to create a comprehensive housing counseling program as an intervention tool to prevent Black loan denials. So one of the things that happened prior to entering school at UNH, I was actually program director at a land trust. And one of the things I was over was a credit and financial growth program. And we did a lot of counseling and things like that. And one of the things that happened is that we were almost inundated with people needing housing counsel, needing help. They couldn't purchase homes because they were denied loans, things like that. And the thing I realized was that we were one of the few certified counseling agencies from where we were in Georgia all the way to the South Carolina line. And so the capstone project that I wanted to develop was actually creating a comprehensive housing counseling program so that we could train people in Northeast Georgia to become housing counselors. Because, one of my theories was that one of the reasons there were so many loan denials is because you just don't have enough practitioners, people out there who to help people. And so that was my capstone project. In terms of how the school laid it out, the thing that really helped was the sequence of classes. So you had to start with planning, how to plan a project, how to implement a project, how to monitor, how to evaluate. And the structure of that really helped helped me get through, and of course my classmates to get through to design and develop what it was we wanted to do, and then also to implement it and see how everything turned out.
Thanks, Yyokkia, for sharing your capstone experience.
Thank
Last
you.
but not least, is there anything else about the program that you found to be valuable to you? When you finished the program, I'm sure, you felt relieved. Isn't it like, hey, I'm done with this, like multi-month effort, but I hope that you were able to get something from the program that you found valuable after. Do you mind sharing those?
I have been shocked by just how much of the things that I learned in the program that I've actually had to use. Because, in my mind, we had at one point we had to do surveys, community surveys and things like that. When are we ever going to need to survey the community? And then one of the things I had to apply for when I was working is I do a lot of partnerships with IHHED. I've done a partnership with the local housing authority, and we applied for a HUD grant. The first thing it said is that you must do a community needs assessment. So that basically a survey, you have to survey the community and see what their needs are. And I was like, who knew? And so I found that everything, it's funny how much, I save so much on my flash drives from the classes. I'm always surprised by how much I have to go back to them and refer to them and to, and actually, I really use pretty much everything in the program, but I would say, so that is one thing, but I also like the level of support. And I think sometimes people take that for granted. But really, you can really, with the staff that's at UNH, you get a lot of support and assistance in terms of being able to talk about things that are going on with you that are bothering you. I need assistance with this or help with that. And that, Sanjeev was wonderful, Robin, and just always anticipating the needs of students and being able to be there. Jolan, if you have something going on with your project that you need help with. So I like that. And I like the hands-on nature of the learning and directing and getting to class and really breaking down, what's going on with you and where you can do better and things like that. So I just thought overall, I just thought it was a wonderful program, period. And I tell everybody all the time, I actually enjoyed grad school more than I enjoyed undergrad, which is, crazy, but that is the truth. I really enjoyed every aspect of this program.
Thank you so much, Yyokkia. Sometimes instructors like myself or school administrators, we find our jobs a little bit boring every now and then. But what really helps us, what motivates us, is to be able to look back at students like you and to listen to you now. It really gives us inspiration to move forward, with a renewed spirit, because we know that the work that we are doing are indeed things that would provide change to not only to you, but also the communities that you serve, specifically to Georgia and the rural areas that you work with. But of course, your classmates are serving other communities. So on behalf of the program, thanks so much, Yyokkia, for participating. Last word before we turn it over to Shiana?
I would just say that anybody, our attendees, anybody who's considering the program, I think you should really take a good look at this program. It really worked wonders for me and for my organization and what we do. And so I hope you would consider coming to UNH. And I think that you will be thrilled and I think you will enjoy it. And I think it's really a life-changing program.
And again, thanks, Yyokkia. And I swear, folks, on Holy Week, that we did not practice this, Yyokkia. We did not rehearse this. I just told her to please come and be truthful and talk about the program. So thanks so much. And indeed, let us all be Yyokkiyas in creating change in our community. Thank you, folks. I'll turn it over to Shiana.
Thank you.
Oh, that is just a tough act to follow. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Yyokkia, for sharing your experience. Thank you, Jolan, for being part of that dialogue. I'm hoping that as folks are watching this presentation that you're feeling as inspired as I do. I'm really going to just be touching really quickly on the University of New Hampshire as a whole and why it is a wonderful school to be a part of. In the online community, you'll be here in spirit. But if you do live in the New Hampshire area, if you've ever visited our campus or been able to walk through the buildings, it is just a gorgeous campus, really beautiful community as well. So, for folks that are in the area as an online student, you are more than welcome to come to campus, to go to the library, to, join us at the Memorial Union building, which is the student center. So, we do have folks that are a lot further away that wouldn't necessarily have that experience. But I just wanted to put that out there because it is still your school. It is still your community at the end of the day. The University of New Hampshire is the flag state institution of the state of New Hampshire. What that means, it brings amazing opportunities, especially for research. So we are considered an R1 research institution. So students are conducting research at the highest level within their field. It brings in a lot of resources financially as well. Another thing that we like to highlight are these small class sizes. Jolan, you might have to help me out a little bit on this one, but for some of our programs, the average class size is about 15 students. Would you be able to maybe tell me with more accuracy how big a class might be in the MCD program?
It varies. I would say typically it would be between 8 and 12, and we want to keep it that way. It's cozy. We want students to have enough time, sufficient time to be able to get into substantive and substantial dialogue. especially among themselves. I always say, as an instructor, I meet students 20 years after. I ask them, so what did you learn from me? Kind of jokingly, they say, not much, but they learn from each other. But
Yes.
that can only happen, peer-to-peer learning can only happen if we don't overwhelm students with super large classes. And we're proud to confirm what Alciana said. We actually have small class sizes.
Amazing. Thank you for confirming that small classroom experience, and really that allows you to have a more more intimate experience, and like Jolan was sharing, being able to really learn from your peers from all parts of the United States and also of the world as well. Our faculty are scholars and practitioners, so you are learning from the best of the best. And the learning community has an emphasis on theory and practice as well. So, as an online student, you might be questioning or thinking about, what are the supports that I would receive as an online student versus, what your experience may have been before your time thinking about a master's program. But as an online student, you are still having sort of that holistic support in place. So once you are admitted and in the program, you will be assigned an academic advisor. So that would be the person that would be able to help you really navigate, what does your time look like in the program? What's the order in which you would take your classes? What are the classes that you would take? And then ultimately, how do you register for classes as well? The student success team, so the team that I work with and the team that I work on, although we are really with you from the time of initial inquiry, we are here for you up until the time that you graduate. Although the Carsey School does a really nice job of supporting their students, so I will say we don't really hear a lot from our students once you're enrolled in the program, but that just speaks to the wonderful level of support that you get once you are an enrolled student in the MCD program and in the Carsey School. IT services are something that would still hold place in your time as a graduate student. All of their services you can access remotely. So you can reach out to them via chat. You can certainly jump on a call with them. I've had experiences myself where, they can join you on Zoom and they do that sort of like fun, kind of like scary thing where they take over your computer and they're able to really very quickly help you out with whatever IT issues you may be experiencing. And they make that transition as smooth as possible so that you can be the best student that you need to be. Library sources are also something that you can access remotely. There's a whole list of services that they have on their website. So you can submit papers, you can get feedback, you can talk to a librarian, you can meet with them via Zoom. So there's a lot of different ways that you can access those services. And like I mentioned a little bit earlier, if you are nearby and you wanted to come by campus and check out the library, you are more than welcome, because as I said, it is still your community, even in an online space. You do have the Center of Academic Enrichment as well. And then last but certainly not least, we do have our Career and Professional Success team to help you out with anything that you may need career related. So they are able to be accessed on Zoom, of course, if you wanted to meet with them. And really, thinking about things like, how do I brush up my resume? How do I get my LinkedIn going? So even those like smaller things that have a big impact in the long term are things that they can help you with. This is our academic calendar. So transitioning from, maybe like a traditional undergraduate schedule to now a grad schedule that is online, we do operate a little bit differently. So instead of having classes that are a full sort of traditional semester, think about it sort of half of that. So instead of having classes from like the end of August until December, we break down our classes into 8-week terms is what we call them. So you can see it right here. We have term 1 through term 5. And as Jolan was sharing earlier in much greater detail, sort of seeing the breakdown of those classes, the classes are a little bit faster of a pace. But if you were taking classes at a full-time status, that means you are taking 2 classes per 8 weeks. And then if you wanted to go to a part-time status, that would mean that you're taking 1 class per 8 weeks. And then you can see in between sort of these white blocks, the terms, there is a week-long break in between each term. During our traditional sort of winter break, it's a little bit longer just to honor those holidays if you do celebrate them. So that is a month long. And then you'll see between between term 2 and 3, you will also see another sort of longer break to honor just that time that folks need in the summer to re-energize themselves. And usually people take vacations and things like that. Tuition and fees, so you will see the in-state and out-of-state cost per credit. This is the very sort of like general high-level breakdown of how much you would really be looking at for the program. There is a technology fee, and that's really based on how many credits you are taking per credit. It's important to share that this program, you would be eligible through FAFSA. So we strongly encourage folks to apply for FAFSA if you feel like you needed that financial aid and you felt like you were going to qualify. Anything that is really specific towards your financial needs, we would most likely defer you to our student accounts office. So they'd be the folks that can cover, how much you would be paying down to the penny, and then also talking about and setting up a payment plan as well. And what I'll do, I think in the next couple of slides, is I will provide you all with our contact information. So if you wanted to talk about this in more detail, we are happy to schedule what we call a bookings call and point you in the direction of the correct people to get you those answers to these questions. On the bottom here, you will see that the Carsey School does offer scholarship opportunities as well. All right, so this is the application requirement. So it's pretty straightforward. What you see is sort of what you get, but it is an online application. So that's how you would ultimately submit your application for the MCD program. There is an application fee tied to that application. And as a thank you for joining us tonight, what we will do is we will provide you all with a fee waiver code. And we'll pop that in the chat in just a little bit. That way you don't have to pay the $65 application fee. So thank you. That's just a thank you for joining us tonight and learning more about the program. There are 3 letters of recommendation that need to be attached to your application. And all of this is uploaded online. So what would happen is you would notify those recommenders in the online application. It will trigger an email to those recommenders and they would submit their feedback about you and write a letter. College transcripts are a requirement. So any and all colleges, universities that you may have attended or taking classes, we are asking that you upload those. At the initial application, you are able to submit what we call unofficial transcripts. So if you have access to your prior college's portal through the registrar's office, you can save that to your device and then upload it into the online application. Upon being accepted into the program, we do ask and require that you submit official transcripts. If you have any questions about that, we are more than happy to walk you through what that looks like and what that means. We also require a personal statement. That writing prompt will be in the online application, but I know that it's also on the website as well. So if you're wondering, what do I write about? Where do I start? That information is in there. And then a current resume is also something that we require. So if you haven't taken a look at your resume in a while, it's time to brush that up so that you can submit it with your application. Standardized test scores are not required for the program, but an English language proficiency test is required for all international students. Jolan, I don't know if there's anything that you wanted to add, or anything major that you think I missed here. Any maybe like advice that you can share with folks who may be a little bit unsure about like letters of recommendation and who they should be asking?
I think you've covered the essentials, Shiana. Thank you. But
Okay.
just one big message is that don't wait for a time when you think you're ready to apply. Now is the time to apply. You're ready, and we will guide you through the process.
Yes, I love that energy. Thank you, Jola. And in that spirit, we are now accepting applications for our fall 2024 semester. The deadline is August 1st. But you know, I am completely in agreement with Jolan. Don't wait. Do it today. Do it tonight. You know, submit your application as soon as you feel ready to hit that submit button. Now really is the time. And you know, we want to make sure that UNH is a good fit for you, of course. So sometimes folks will apply and they'll be a little bit unsure about, you know, I haven't been in school for a while, but you know, let us know. We can support you and walk you through what this process can look like for you. So we're all here. There's an overwhelming amount of support here at the University of New Hampshire with UNH Online, and then also these amazing folks right here, Robin and Ann. So this is our contact information. So this is a good slide to take a picture of, or you know, jot down these emails and phone numbers. So with our team with UNH Online, that is our email. Myself, Callie, and Danielle are the folks that are monitoring that email Monday through Friday all day. And then we also have our general phone number as well. So we're sort of on standby to answer those questions for you if you have any. And of course, Robin and Ann are here too, and happy to assist you with anything that you may need.